Welcome back. I'm attorney Andrew Bethel of Bethel Law, where we talk estate planning, finances, real estate, and taxes. Today we're going to discuss an important piece of law, California Probate Code Section 21380, donative transfers to others in your will or trust that are presumed the product of fraud or undue influence, thus being considered invalid. This is a complicated and messy area of estate planning law, but don't worry, we're going to break it down together. Let's dive in. Starting with the basics, what is a donative transfer? It's a gift made through one's estate planning documents such as a will or trust. Essentially, the distribution of your assets to another. Again, this can be in any document, but 9 times out of 10 we're talking either a will or a trust here, so I'll only mention those going forward. Now Section 21380 raises a red flag on donative transfers to certain individuals, stated in a busy legalese way. But let's break it down into simpler terms. This is a law that essentially about protecting people when they're giving something away in their will or trust. The law is basically saying if you're making a will or trust to give something away when you die, the donative transfer, and you're giving it to any of the following people, the law is going to assume that something fishy might be going on. Number 1, the person who wrote the document for you. Number 2, anyone who physically wrote down or typed up what you wanted to say in the document, especially if they were in a position where they had your trust or were supposed to be looking out for your interests. Number 3, someone who was taking care of you if you are an adult who depends on others for care, around the time when you signed the document or in the 3 months before or after you signed it, essentially the caregiver. Number 4, someone who is taking care of you, again, if you're a dependent adult, and started living with you or became your partner or spouse around the time when you signed the document or in the 3 months after they stopped taking care of you, but only if you signed the document or made the gift less than 6 months after you started living together or got married. The living caregiver, with timing being a big factor to consider. Number 5, anyone closely related up to a first cousin to the drafter or transcriber of the document or the caregiver. Number 6, someone who lives with or works for the drafter or transcriber of the document or the caregiver. And number 7, a business partner, investor, or employee of a law firm where the drafter or transcriber of the document was an owner. Now, if all that doesn't sink in, just think that red flags arise on gifts to the lawyer or the caregiver directly, or either their family, staff, or someone they live with. Basically, if you're giving something to any of these people in your will or trust, the law is going to assume that there may have been some funny business or pressure involved, unless proven otherwise. By now it should be obvious why this rule is in place, but to be clear, it's designed to protect potentially vulnerable people from being unduly influenced during the estate planning process. But what does undue influence mean? It's when someone uses their position of power to influence a person to make a decision that might not be in their best interest. Now, how can we navigate around this issue? One way is by having your estate plan documents drafted by an independent attorney, meaning someone who won't benefit from your estate. Also remember to keep your estate plans private. You don't want anyone to unduly influence your decisions. And whenever possible, have a witness present when you're signing these important documents. Typically, this is accomplished by the 2 uninterested witnesses for your will and the notary required for your trust. I've covered interested witnesses before in an older video, so you can watch that for more information, or you can like and subscribe for when we tackle that topic again, but better. Let's take a quick moment to understand fraud. In this context, there is no set definition for fraud in the probate code, but it's generally considered a deliberate act of deception for unfair gain. There are 2 main types: fraud in the execution and fraud in the inducement. Fraud in the execution is when someone is tricked into signing a document without realizing what it is that they're signing. While fraud in the inducement is when a person knows what they're signing, like that it's their will or trust, but they've been misled about what's in the document. And fraud typically involves several elements: a false representation, the trickster knowing it's false, an intent to deceive, reliance on the false information, and harm as a result. However, what happens if you don't take these precautions and your donative transfer you're involved in is presumed to be the product of undue influence or fraud? You'll need to rebut this presumption. That means you have the burden of proof and must provide strong evidence that the transfer was not a result of fraud or undue influence. In that case, I hope you have good documentation and witnesses willing to testify that there wasn't any shenanigans going on. Now let's briefly talk consequences. If you're a beneficiary who's presumed to have unduly influenced a donative transfer, and you fail to prove with clear and convincing evidence that it wasn't so, well, the law is not in your favor. You'll have to bear all costs of the proceeding, including the attorney's fees. And of course, it means you don't receive the gift in the first place. The key takeaway here is to ensure your estate planning is done right from the beginning. Seek independent legal advice, keep your plans private, and always have impartial witnesses. Let me know if you have a topic you want me to cover, or if you have any questions by dropping a comment below. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to our channel for more easy to understand insights into estate planning, real estate, finances, and taxes. Feel free to watch our last video or check out another great one.